What's going on, collectors? Welcome into Ross Loves Cards. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about not just one, but two Hall of Famers, although it's in two different sports. I've talked about this book, Campy, before. From what I learned in that book, I could probably do a video every week for a year, different facts about Roy Campanella. I'd run out of cards on him, but I could recommend this book. I'll show it again. Recommend this book for anybody that thinks they might be interested in Roy Campanella. And if you're not interested in Roy Campanella, if you read it, you might be. But something I found interesting about Roy Campanella was that he would have a tendency to gain weight in the off season. He's like me, you give me 3 months where I wasn't trying to follow somewhat of a diet, and I could just gain all sorts of weight and it seemed like overnight. And he'd have to do certain diets. Sometimes the manager put him on a certain diet at one point in time called the egg diet. But anyways, we ain't going to talk about that. But he started to go to Hot Springs, Arkansas, for the bathhouses they had there. I don't know if he'd do fasting in a bathhouse or what he'd do. I've read in the book I'm reading about Joe Black now that in 1953, Joe Black and Roy Campanella went to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and they both showed up at spring training at a good weight and, ready to go. But he frequented Hot Springs, Arkansas, and one time that he was there, he got to see a future football Hall of Famer, Bobby Mitchell. This is the 59 59 Topps rookie card for Bobby Mitchell. He wound up playing his college ball at Illinois. But he is from Hot Springs, Arkansas. I'd say he's probably the best athlete they've had, or the most notable athlete they've had come from there. But while he was in high school, he'd get to see Roy Campanella, and he talked about seeing some of the other, the elites, the Negro team, the elites when they'd come to town. But also, like I said, Joe Black came with him, 52. But Bobby Mitchell said he always enjoyed seeing Campy. He said when they was playing basketball, he'd always try to play, though he wasn't able to. First time reading it, I thought that meant that he would play basketball with them, and he just wasn't very good at basketball. But that wasn't the case. I'm guessing because of baseball coming up, he wasn't supposed to be playing basketball with high school kids. But he said, Roy always had a smile, unless he seen a kid out there not doing his best. It's enjoyable to see people play sports. It ain't got to be professional sports or college or even high school, just seeing people get together and play sports against one another. Roy enjoyed that, but he didn't like to see somebody slacking. And he said he'd get mad at him and get after him. And Bobby Mitchell would play basketball with his friends, and Campy and some other people would be there watching him and have interaction from there. Later on, Roy went to a high school basketball game in the area at the Black High School down there in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And he noticed that Bobby Mitchell wasn't playing. And he said, "Hey, what's going on? How come you aren't on the basketball court?" And he said, "Well, I had to quit. I had to quit because I've had to get a job in order for me to buy a suit for graduation. That's why I'm not playing basketball." And Roy said, "Meet me downtown." So he went downtown, and he gave him the money for him to go buy a suit to graduate for graduation. And so he told him to get back out on the court. So that's why I've brought these two players together. Bobby Mitchell, 59 rookie, and Roy Campanella, 55 Bowman. First, this, like I said, this is his rookie year. 55. Roy would win his third MVP in 1955. And as my boy calls them, TV cards. I liked how this one was centered. It had a good look to it. But thinking about this incident in Hot Springs, Arkansas. One was a professional baseball player, had 2 MVPs already, and one was a high school player. But they had a relationship. And, some people probably didn't know it at that time, that they both would go on to be Hall of Famers in their respective sports. But, what just goes to show you, you never know what type of impact we can have in other people's lives, reaching out, doing something for them. Now, we may not be able to afford a suit for somebody, but, there's chances in life that we get to help others. And that may make all the difference in the world to that person. Whether it's advice, it may be some financial help, maybe doing something for them, putting in a good word for them. But reading that story about these 2 Hall of Famers, it just brings to my mind, I need to look for opportunities to help other people more. Look for ways that I can better their life or help them, not only now, but in the future down the road. So as we're in this hobby, I'd recommend you looking for ways that we can help others. Contribute to society by helping out those in need in one way or another. I appreciate you all tuning in, and let me show you my first vintage football card that I've ever bought, and my 55 Bowman Roy Campanella. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks.